So I got to ask, what is the small print on your shirt?
It is lawful good. It doesn't mean lawful nice.
That's
D&D
true.
alignment. Yeah, a lot of people always think, oh, the lawful good character, he's the little goody two shoes. No, it just means you follow the rules of the world. But
Yeah.
Except if you're a paladin, then you just burn everything. Burn!
I haven't done an RPG in a very long time, or like a year and a half, or 2 years, post-COVID or pre-COVID. But at the time, our buddy Kyle was a paladin, and he was like, his character was very righteous and all about his family and like was family values. And I was like the warlock who had to pretend like he wasn't a warlock around people. Yeah. And so it was just like, he kept on like being sus about me. He's like, there's something not right. And I'm like, no. And out of nowhere, I'd be like, can I take a perception check? And I'm like, no, you don't need to. Like, we're good.
No need for that. No need for insight.
Yeah, Paul got me the true neutral one, which is, when did this become my problem?
That is so you. That is like painfully you.
No doubt. My wife's is neutral because making decisions is hard. So
that's the other side of the same coin, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always assumed that true neutral was like it's always somebody making it your problem. That's like how druids are responding to thing. Like it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, was perfectly happy being here. Fuck you.
I didn't want to have to make a decision today. Fuck off.
It's like the Archer joke of like he's going on a rampage. Like it's like, we're having a rampage. Like,
rampage. Jesus Christ. Oh boy. Yeah, that's great. That's great. What are you drinking there, Garrett?
Oh, my classic unfiltered Down East ciders.
Oh,
okay.
That's what I'm missing. Oh man.
Oh, yeah. What's going on, John?
I realized
you got?
I need a little something to wet the whistle too.
Oh yeah, yeah, you do.
I'll get out the old whistle on 14 here.
I got to be a good boy, but I wish I could wet the whistle.
Yeah, I unfortunately I'm out of scotch because me and Ben drank an entire bottle of Avalor. I think you got some, right, Alex? I don't remember. If
I had like 1 or 2 glasses. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay, thank God. Thank God. Because I was at one point I was like, did me and Ben just drink that entire bottle by ourselves?
No, at one point, probably when you were drunk, you were like, Alex, have you had any scotch yet? And I'm like, no, but I'll have some.
The bad part is I was at no point drunk that night. I was just like, this is scary.
That was a big bottle too. Yeah, that was a hefty bottle.
Was it perhaps 750 milliliters?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Mayhaps. Well, unfortunately I got to be a good boy, but our listeners don't, and this is of course in your phase. We have a fantastic guest tonight. We got Tony, right? You go by Tony, not Anthony.
I go by Tony, but ITC and stuff, it is Anthony, and all the NEO stuff, so yeah, we can call me Anthony. That's fine.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, we got Anthony.
Josh.
Sure. Might get mixed up with my teammate, but all right.
All right. Well, he is the brand ambassador of Wasteland Games Weekend in Las Vegas, as John would put it. He is also running an event there, and he's been doing a lot of good work as well in gaming events, and it's beating the crap out of me at least once. So we are very happy to have you on. As we always do, start out with our phases here. I gotta say, my phase is super duper empty. It's actually surprisingly, I mean, my desk, my workbench, whatever, is not clean, but it is not cluttered. Because I don't have a million minis and paints and tools everywhere, just because I haven't done anything. I got, as we talked about a few weeks ago, on our way back from Old Town Throwdown, my twin brother and our good friend Ben bullied me into a bachelor party. So last weekend was a bachelor party. So we went to the middle of nowhere, just in Central Oregon, and we had a really, really cool cabin. Had like a shuffleboard table, a pool table that we just put a Warhammer table on. We had at least two gaming tables, and I think there was all AoS. There was supposed to be at least one game of 40K, but but yeah, no, we Yeah, I think I played 2 games, 2-ish games, one full one like a short one. But yeah, just a lot of booze. There was a hot tub, so we took full advantage of that. It was wonderful. And I am paying for it still. Just a weekend of not eating what I would normally eat and drinking a ton of booze. So yeah, that was.
Did I mention the booze?
Did I mention the booze? We brought
Yeah.
so much booze. And of course, everyone brought their own booze and then bought more booze because they thought, oh, well, there might not be enough booze. So then there was like too much booze. It was eye-opening. It was eye-opening. It was also eye-opening how much like 8 hungry dudes could eat. Yes. Yeah, there was a lot of food that was eaten. But yeah, no, I am glad no one got hurt. We didn't do anything too wild, which was fine. And yeah, it was a good time.
Or
And
that's the story you're going to stick to, at least.
that's the story I'm going to stick to for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And then yeah, I mean, I guess the next event is the big day, and then I can do tournaments again. Oh boy, yeah, we'll
And
be
there
fine.
was no rejoicing.
And there was no rejoicing. No, there'll be plenty of rejoicing. This is gonna be fun. But yeah, anyways, I'm sure there was a lot more. Oh, actually, one more thing. Yeah, I did play a game last night against said friend Ben. We played against New Stormcast. I played several games against New Stormcast with or without the correct rules being played each time, but that is fine. It was a very good army, and I am also working
totally
on
cheated.
getting. It's fine. And then we got a 3D print. I'm going to get a 3D print order from our good friend and teammate Carl. He's got the Raging Heroes vampire set, and I have like a little magnetized swap base for my Arkin and an old version of Manfred. But to be honest, I'm not super stoked on it after using it yesterday, and I want to use Arkin. I have an Arkin model, I have a Manfred model, or pardon me, I have an Arkin model, I have a Neferata model, and I do not want to buy a third Martok model. And so there's like a Raging Heroes a Dragul. It's like a vampire lord on Dragul, and it's just a bat wyvern thing. And so I'm like, sweet, that works. Like we're gonna use that instead. Just not at a GW event. That's all that's in my phase. Tony, what about you?
Yeah, been kind of just we've been kicking it back after a couple tournaments. We just finished a big event here. We were in the Animosity. I don't know if you guys heard about the big global narrative campaign. Ton of fun. But yeah, we finished that up, and to tide ourselves over, because obviously we got Wasteland coming up. We've been playing some Path to Glory. New version is great. A lot less snowbally than it used to be. So anybody can kind of hop in. So we've been doing that. It's been fun. So been playing the Lumineth, obviously, but alongside them, I've been working on my cities and just really screwing off with some free guild. So right now I'm building some handgunners. I've got like a box of Thunderers, the old dwarves with the handguns, as well as the free guild guard with guns. So putting together a block of 20 right now. That's kind of what's on the desk.
Right on.
Yeah. So just that, working on the big narrative event that we'll talk about later.
Nice.
So
So do you mostly play order type stuff? I mean, you got the lawful good shirt on for sure.
Yeah, so I did pick up the Grand Alliance order dice that GW put out. I do have mainly order armies, but honestly, like I play everything but death, which is kind of weird. I have Bone Splitters, Beasts of Chaos, a little bit of Slaves to Darkness and stuff. But yeah, a lot of order stuff. That's where I started back in Warhammer Fantasy with like Lizard Men and High Elves. So it's always been kind of on the docket that I like the good guys.
Oh, very nice. Do you play any 40K as well, or just AoS and fantasy, obviously, so old timer as it were?
Yeah, I dabbled in 40K, just not really my thing. The new Kill Team, we've been playing that though. I think that's where I like my 40K. I like the squad based, small scale type thing. So the new Kill Team's been a lot of fun, but mainly AoS.
Nice. Yeah, I know a lot of people that really get into the whole kill team type thing, as it were. But and I enjoy it too. But
yeah,
I don't know. I like to play 40K myself. I also do like to play AoS. It's kind of one of those things. I wish I could play more AoS. It's just less available in my area. Though the SV Warhammer group has been picking up lately, so I should be able to start joining them a little more often. And a lot of those guys get into playing those that Path to Glory stuff and all of that. So it's pretty nice. So first off, Anthony, thank you for being on the show. And I'm gonna swing right into my phase, which much like Alex, I journeyed from my homeland, in my case in the Bay Area, and up to Southern Oregon. I, in fact, was only about 2 hours away from where Alex and the boys were doing their stuff. But
2 ships in the night.
2 ships in the night. No real chance of that happening because, of course, as I've been talking about on the show for a few weeks, I went to the first of the 2 weddings I'm going to, which was my cousin's wedding. Oh my gosh, beautiful, amazing wedding. Basically, they have a friend who is basically building a wedding venue on the edge of the Rogue River. So I have this beautiful house where the house is up on like a cliff. You take a road down and like maybe a double football field sized lawn on a little bend in the river with a little riffle on it and stuff. And they're basically going to start doing weddings as a wedding venue, but they don't have the permits yet. So the whole thing is brand new, freshly built. There's a stage, DJ area, all that stuff. And my cousin got to break this whole thing in. So she had, of course, a beautiful wedding. She did it right. Open bar. Had a cool taco truck with some pretty good tacos. And I must say, for Southern Oregon, I was duly impressed by the heat of the hot sauce. Now, they had, super warning danger kind of stuff on it. And, it was hot enough. But I tell you what, it was very surprising. So yeah, had a great time at that wedding. Alex, you look like you were trying to ask me something.
Yeah, John, I was going to ask you, was it the inlet of the Rogue River, like where it meets the sea?
No, it's a Grants Pass is where my family lives. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but they're upstream from Grants Pass was actually where the event was, maybe a mile or 2 out of town. So basically, it's like surrounded by forests. It's pretty nice. In fact, I'll throw some pictures of it on the Discord. Kubo stayed behind with our friend, but I'll put some pictures up on Discord for our patrons there. But yeah, awesome. So that was really good. Had a great drive up, drive back. That's like a 10-hour drive for us. So Donna and I took it in 2 steps. We actually stayed in a cottage up there, so we had our own little private yard, that kind of stuff off on our own. So we had a lot. It was nice and relaxing. There was actually this badass squirrel in the yard there. He came out the first day while I was just chilling, kind of relaxing, enjoying the weather. And he comes out in the tree and he sees me. And so I give him a little noise and he looks at me and he climbs up the fence real quick and jumps into the tree. And dude came like way out on this branch and was like standing there. And he's like this. He's like all jacked. And so I know something about squirrels. So I gave him my squirrel name, tail wave. So it's a click, click, tail wave. That's my squirrel name. That's how I identify myself to the squirrels that live in the walnut tree in my backyard. So I didn't want to confuse the Oregon squirrels by using like a pseudonym. I figure it was safe. Anyways, so he responded. He gave me his name back. I'm pretty sure that his name is click, 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 push up. But I didn't encounter him very long. So we chilled out with each other for a while. He took off and I had a great weekend. After that, came home. And what can I say? Like most of Warhammerdom, I myself have been enjoying a flurry of sword polisher memes. Because those poor Black Templar players, they finally get one new model. They're going to get some new rules. Marshall Helbrecht, of course, a beautiful model. Who cares? That sword polisher is the best. I'm going to buy 3 of those models and do all kinds of, shall we say, interesting things with those sword polishers. I do play Nurgle. There might be a great clean one in my near future. We'll see how that goes. So that's pretty much what's been in my phase. Of course, we had a great Pathfinder adventure this last week. You're talking about being lawful good. I've actually been playing that new Pathfinder game that just came out. And it's funny, every time I make a lawful choice, there's some pretty. I'm like, wow, this is a super dick move, but I'm trying to move my character to lawful good, so I'm going to take the lawful choice. I'm like, oh, that's rough. That's rough. Anyways, my
A lot of
definitely
the time, hard edged, man.
right.
Hard edged the line. Yep.
On the other hand, my definitely not lawful good Kitsune rogue continues to be a damage dealing fiend. So Garrett, all I'll say is this week's he went with choose an adventure and presented us with 3 choices. We had our choice of the haunted village, the dwarven mines, or the weird forest. Now, myself, I was leaning towards some weird forest action and helping out the wizards. But as it turns out, the rest of the party wanted to go for the haunted village, and so we went out there, and shall we say we ended the evening by getting down and killing some bad guys. So it was quite delightful. And with that, Mr. Garrett Mulroney, DM extraordinaire, sir, what has been in your phase this week? I saw a dog plopping around in the background when everything was fuzzy. Is that the returns dog or the old? It looks like the old dog.
It's the old dog. This is Stormy. He is over 6 years old now. I know. It's weird because like you guys have known him since like John, you met him when he was like 9 months old, if not earlier. So it's weird thinking him like he has like white fur on his face now. Like he's like getting old. But as far one thing I want to say about D&D is like, we're talking about lawful good and all this. And I've actually started moving away from using alignments altogether. And Anthony, I don't know if you've heard about, like, I know Wizards of the Coast has started doing this as well. And I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, wearing a lawful good shirt and you talking about paladins and such. Cause like I have found that actually it's been fun to just let players kind of play whatever they want without like tying them down to an alignment or making them like, oh, well, this is that alignment. Just being like, you know what, remove alignments altogether. Any abilities that affect certain alignments, just ignore them. Like protection from good is just a protection spell now and affects everything. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any problem with it. I think it was always there to be helpful when the game in the beginning was very black and white, It was like we clearly knew who the good guys and who the bad guys were. But now that like, I don't know, all our media that's come out, Game of Thrones, like even some of the characters in Lord of the Rings, always had like more of a gray alignment. Like I think of like Boromir, like where does he really fit on that line, So I think it's a cool concept. We haven't really played with it, but I mean, the closest we probably got is like we have played with like a paladin being able to be other alignments than lawful good only type thing, like lawful neutral, which is a neat one as well, stuff like that. But yeah, we'll have to try that sometime.
Yeah, actually, like I think Boromir is an interesting case because I remember as a kid watching Boromir and reading about him. He was clearly a bad guy, but then like now that you think about him later in life, it's like there was definitely a lot going on here that he wasn't a bad guy. And I feel like as I've matured and like as time has gone on, people have really started. I've noticed a lot of people think that Boromir is actually probably the greatest hero of that whole saga. And it's like, you know what? There's some truth to that. Like Boromir and his brother Faramir are like two really strong characters, especially in the movies. Actually, I just rewatched all of them and they're really, really strong characters.
The extended cut really helps a ton.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That.
Is there any other way to watch them at this point?
No,
No.
You can't go back once you're there. And it's like the only series I can think of where you do that. Like other series, I'm like, okay, I can watch the director's cut. I can watch whatever. No, Lord of the Rings is always, you got to go extended. Like you're just missing so much when you don't.
Yeah, it's like I think back on like when I watched them without the extended cut and I was like watching them again and I'm like, that made a big difference. Like it kind of sucks that they cut that part out. Or I was, every here and there I was like, wow, that's kind of a weird thing to cut. Like
especially the end of the first movie is just so different with like just Boromir and the hobbits. Everybody's fighting to get Frodo to that boat,
Yeah, I think that might be why everyone had a different perspective of Boromir is it was until we got the extended cuts that we might have had a bigger picture of Boromir and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I will say, John, that it was a really great session for me as well for Pathfinder, because honestly, I had no idea what to do with you guys. I was like, when I ended the last session about 2 weeks ago or whatever, I was kind of like, what do you guys want to do next? Because we had just finished our adventure, and everyone was like, stuff. And I was like, fuck you guys. Like, what am I going to do with that? And so literally, I just like,
he goes, would you guys prefer that we do more action combat adventures, or we do some more RP kind of a scheme type stuff? And everyone goes, oh yeah, we like a mix of all that.
Garrett, I've ran a table for 10 years, bro. I feel your pain. Like,
oh yeah, no,
we'll finish a long campaign. It's like, hey guys, so what do we think about that? Any feedback? It was good.
This wasn't even like finish a long campaign. This campaign I've decided to play very open-ended and been like, there's not really an overarching story. We're just kind of like gonna play and feel it out. And so I was like, finished the adventure at hand. Where do you guys want this to go? Because I'm teaching everybody a new game system. It was a whole bunch of introductory stuff. So I was like, where do you guys want to go with this? They're like, yes. And I'm like,
vanilla ice cream. Yes.
So literally, like, John, those 3 things, I came up with them like on the spot. Ooh. It was literally just like on the spot. It was things that I had kind of thought about maybe in the back end of my head. I'm like, this would be an interesting idea, whatever. What I was like, you know what? Here's some random adventure guild quest you guys could go on. And like John was like, all of those sound amazing. And I'm like, I literally thought of these this second. So
yeah, that's funny. I thought you had like I was picturing a whole folio and maps and notes ready to go for each of these. I'm like, oh yeah, Garrett is on it, man.
No, I have to prep next session like now. Like I have to really build everything immediately because like you guys chose one thing and I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. I have to go there now.
Nice.
How far off course did they go?
There was no course. That was the point.
Okay.
Like I didn't have a course, so I just threw 3 things, expecting them to ignore all of them and maybe go somewhere else. But all 3 of them, they're like, we want to do all 3 of those right now. And I'm like, cool. I have nothing planned. I came up with them on the spot, and we're gonna see where this goes. So actually, I've been doing a lot of D&D lately. The session was really fun. I was really inspired by you guys really liking those ideas that I came up with. Kind of got me thinking about how I can, expand those and turn them into more fulfilling adventures maybe. And I'm looking at, doing a whole bunch of stuff there. So doing a lot of D&D planning, and then the new Hearth and Home update came out for Valheim. So I've been playing that a bit with the wife and her family. I actually have a server spun up now that I get to randomly watch the server logs for, which is entertaining when I'm not playing. And I'm like, I wonder who's online right now. Is it my father-in-law? Is it my sister-in-law who's on right now? I don't know. I don't know who's online. So that's been fun, and that's kind of been my phase. The only thing I would say is right before recording, I actually just got off playing a game, teaching Michael Schwartz, our good buddy, how to play 3.0 for the first time.
Oh wow. Why the hell were we talking about the rest of this stuff?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What you saw the Schwartz. For those of you who don't remember, of course, before we started In Your Phase, we were members of the Wide World of Wargaming podcast, and Mr. Michael Schwartz was on the 40K portion of the Wide World of Wargaming podcast. So how is Mr. Schwartz and the lovely little Schwartz and Mrs. Schwartz doing right now?
Yeah.
The little Schwartz is a handful. We did not get through a whole lot because there was a lot of interruptions with the little Schwartz. Michael Schwartz took this whole week off work to relieve his wife of having to take care of the kid during some off hours. And so he kind of was on kid duty while we were playing. And but they are surviving in the world that is right now. And they're doing well. He is definitely working obscenely far too much and needs to find time for things that aren't work. But other than that, it was good. It was interesting to teach somebody who does a good job of actually figuring things out for himself in an interesting manner. I will say Schwartz is an interesting person to like teach things, because I sent him all the rules. I told him where to go, all the rules, and he read them all, and he picked up on a lot of things that I'm not used to. I'm used to teaching new people things. I could teach people D&D all the time, and so I was expecting to teach him from scratch, but he had actually like went through and read everything, and I was like forgetting how of an experienced wargamer Schwartz is. Like
yeah,
he actually
he's a GT winning player in 40K and does very well in AoS.
Yeah, actually, like I was looking at his trophy shelf as I was seeing his new room that he had set up, and he has the 2015 best general of the Golden Gargant tournament. And I was like, I had forgotten that he's actually a GT winning player back to 2015. Like he's been playing major tournaments for a long time, and it's just like I'd forgotten that like he actually is a serious wargamer, and I should play him more.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
So he ended up beating me. We only played 1.5 turns, but like a quick double turn and some bad sloppy play because we were playing fast, and it was like, yeah, you're clearly winning. Okay, I'm gonna go home now.
If you win a teaching game, you're a bad teacher.
Yeah, I agree. Unless it's a very close win that the player is very satisfied.
Yeah, you heard me, Jeremy.
Well, yeah, that's the point. It's a teaching game. It's a teaching game.
I don't know. I'm pretty good at letting the other player win, but I have seen a few games where you physically cannot let them win because their dice just keep rolling ones and you keep rolling sixes. Like there's only so much you can hide. I don't have a DM screen while I'm at the war table.
So anyways, yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. A lot of D&D, Valheim, and then hanging out with the Schwartz. So Jeremy, I haven't heard from you in a hot second. What's going on with you?
Well, first, it's funny you brought that up because, like, regarding Schwartz and like being a good player, like not that long ago, like a GT winning player. I was joking on recently with Team America, like, if our game ever became like media size, like I had like ESPN like documentaries or series about like tabletop wargaming, it would be how funny would it be if they had like, hey, let's check in on Joe Cryer. It's been 15 years. Like, let's see how he's doing. Like, kind of like rehashing, like revisiting, like, brand names of like tabletop wargaming in the United States. And it's just kind of like, like obviously we would have made, all these players would become millionaires, right, from tabletop gaming. And you could see it could just like be like an MTV Crib episode. So, no, I'm kidding aside. My face has been pretty, a lot of things have happened. I came back from New York. I already talked about that last time, but then that week was just like nothing but work, just catching up on everything. And then unfortunately, I was dragged away from my comfortable home to go to this fucking bachelor party where like we only got to play 2 games of Warhammer, and I was promised an unrelentless amount of testing and gaming, but you know what? It made up for the fact that the food was, good in the sense that there was plenty of it. The booze was great in the sense that there was plenty of it, and then we had a bathtub. And
we played poker.
And it's no, we didn't play poker. We lost poker to Ben Schmoller. That's a very different like statement.
I'm beginning to realize that playing poker with him is just a profit. It's like cool. I'm going to work. Time to clock in. Hey guys, want to play some poker?
Yeah, I need a rent this month, guys. I need some rent money.
Yeah.
No, that's what I did when I played him. I just literally said, "Here, all I'm doing is staking you for games later. So you better do good with my money when you play."
Yeah.
So, what was I going? What was I talking? Who gives a shit? No, I did play 2 games. I played a game with my OBR list I don't want to try that I've been kind of like thinking like is like how do we play OBR in 3.0 and that against the new Iron Jaws, and that turns out like more tech guards are still very fucking good against like Iron Jaws. So sorry Iron Jaws, I guess in a sense. I'm guessing if it was Cruel Boys it would have been a very different experience, but it was Maw Crushers were just not punching things like rerollable saves with like Mystic Shield and the +1 from Petrifex, just too much for him to handle. Then I played a game against Alex, and I said play again against Alex. We're supposed to teach his brother how to play, so I played the Iron Jaws list against Alex's Soulblight Grave Lords, and in that case he didn't have rerollable like 2-up saves, so it went a little differently. The Maw Crusher actually got to kill things and things were actually fucking dying, but it was kind of funny because my favorite moment is like. It's like Nick is Alex's brother, and he's fucking like hammered by like round 2.
He's super drunk, super duper drunk.
And we're trying to teach him how to play because he wanted to learn and like play this game. And the first 2 turns, he was actually kind of committed to it. No, turn
Yeah.
3 is just kind of like, he was like, I'm fucking done with this. And he comes around like,
because he was too fucking drunk.
he comes around at turn 4. He's like, this is taking like 3 hours. I'm like, yeah, Nick, because Nick.
Yeah.
God fucking damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was it. And then the last thing in my, well, two things in last in my phases. I got to play a game of Warhammer 40K against Schmoller yesterday. Because you wanted a kind of a warm-up game before, because there's a grand the Las Vegas team tournament right now, Nick, in your neck of the wood, Anthony, for Frontline Gaming. He's bringing Custodes, and I brought well, I was like, cool, the Thousand Suns came out. I have this this big Thousand Suns army I never fucking get to play. So I was like, I know nothing about this book other than the fact I've read it like 5 times, and I still don't fucking understand like the hell's happening in this book. And I'm usually a pretty good person at deciphering how things work in this book, in any kind of codex or battle tomes. And even then I was kind of like, okay, you take Magnus and you just take a bunch of wizards, or I guess psychers in 40K. That's how much I've transferred my mind to AoS versus 40K. I just kept calling things AoS references the entire time I was playing. And honestly, like, I know the matchup was already bad, and it was on purpose because he wanted like we need to do a warm-up game where it's like actually something he has to like think about how to beat. And I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I was still like winning. And it's not because like I'm new at this. It's just because the fucking book has so much fucking rules that I'm like, I don't even know like how you're supposed to comprehend about like, if you sat at the table across this army and you had no idea what the fuck Thousand Suns did. And even if you watch a goddamn like breaking down like a Gotchaheimer videos where they explain like what the fuck like in 15 minutes you gotta care for, I still don't know how you can make heads or tails what the fuck is happening across the table. Especially the psychic phase for like Thousand Suns. It's like there's so much fucking like cabal points, fucking stratagems, like just so much shit happening. And I find it kind of, oh my god, Games Workshop, like, please tone down the fucking bloat hole. It's making it like, I don't know, like, even as an experienced 40K player, I don't want to play this. Like, this is just like an obscene amount of rules.
Reminds me of a few AOS tomes we have.
Yeah, it's
giant bulky ones. Yeah.
I mean, the problem I have with AOS is like when I look across the table and I see like something in a fucking like, I don't know, dragon, I'm like, okay, it's gotta be flying, it's gonna be fast, and it's gonna probably do some kind of mortal wounds and some like damage in combat. Cool. In 40K, you're like, hey, this tiny little guy, oh my god, there's just like, he does so many things. Like, what's happening?
It's a
And
superhero.
So many, it's like the most, it's the most like, you can't tell him apart from anything else. It's like, and I get like the complaint people have at Firesides. You can't tell anything apart in that army. It's literally what happens. And finally, the last thing on my my docket, I guess, actual hobbying. I'm finishing off my Shadow Wars for my Hallowed Knights Stormcast army that I want to actually like run. I also have Kyle is printing some Seraphon stuff because I also want to do some like kind of like testing of Thunder Lizard list for Team America. So he's giving me I'm getting a full Thunder Lizard like kind of army. It's Games Workshop have 3D printing because I fucking hate the Steganon models from Games Workshop. They're goddamn horrendous. No offense, Seraphon players, but I hate those models. Yeah, that's
you're right.
Yeah, they should got a new model range when they got that book. Like,
I was looking at your minis yesterday. I'm surprised you didn't throw one on the screen. You had the you have a ton of the Lost Kingdom stuff, and I actually like there are some sculpts I don't like. Like I know we talked about the size. Everything is way too big for its size unless you know someone who can scale it down properly. But like I do love the Styracosaurus Stegodons because they're Styracosaurus, and like I like almost all their sculpts. The one that I hate though is their Carnosaur, man. It's terrible.
Oh yeah, so I bought 2 bundles for 3D printing, and the other one is from what's this guy's name? And I'm sure Games Workshop Pace is talking about this, but One Page Rules has this like really beautiful, also like a Seraphon bundle, and I really like the Source Warriors in there. Or not Source Warriors, I guess, for liability of copyright situations. The not Saurus warrior sculpts.
I don't know. If GW wants to sponsor us, we'll get into it. Otherwise, talk away, my friend.
So here, this is how GW fixes that. You know those cool Blood Bowl Saurus and Skinks they got?
Yep.
Give us a battle regiment of that.
Yeah. And then and if for another people who's like interested, there's another actually even more fantastic sculpts than all of these. I just don't aesthetically are not my favorite thing, but they're beautiful models. There's Arc Villain Games who designed this thing, this set of sculpts called Gamma Rising, and they're some of the most beautiful sculpts. It's not my aesthetic for Seraphons, and they're pretty close to the original Seraphon sculpts. Like I honestly like.
Oh, they're not like pinups, pinup ones.
No.
Wait, I need to look at this now. You said it's called Arch Villain Games.
Well, the set is called Agama Rising, AGAMA Rising, and honestly, when I look at these sculpts, I'm like, that is like GW quality, like level, like sculpts, and they could have easily been like GW like models, effectively.
Oh fuck! Okay, they're very busy. Yeah, but they look.
The point because like GW's way of like countering the 3D print market is by making their sculpts more and more like complicated, basically.
Yeah, but their dinosaurs look nothing like dinosaurs at all.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's my kind of problem.
But they look like Godzilla.
They're all kaiju looking things, and then but the scales are beautiful. Like I don't know, it's very well executed. Anyway, that's been kind of my hobby. Like I'm right now in 3.0, like it's kind of like I'm a kid in a candy shop because I can't fucking figure out what I want to play, and they're gonna keep like releasing battle tomes, and I'm just gonna be like, I can't make up my mind. But right now, like I think if I was gonna pick an army that was like that is not Fire Slayers that fits my playstyle very well, it's probably that Stormcast Hallowed Knight list. It just plays very much like that playstyle I enjoy.
You mean you're not building an all dragon list like everyone?
Oh fuck no! Like everybody who keeps trying to build this all dragon list, like please don't do that because other people want to buy dragons. Firstly,
yes, please use it. Please run it. I can't wait.
And it's so bad, and it's like it's good in like the bad ways where it's just like it's like you'll get sent to the like middle tables, and you'll just it's like when somebody sends a Mega Gargan player down to the middle tables. It's kind of like, well, fuck this. Like this fucking sucks. Like, it's really bad at the top tables. It's the problem. It's not a good army at winning GT. It's just a good army at winning like generalized games.
You'll win at least 3 games out of 5.
60% of the time, it'll win every time.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, it's and also like do not do that because much like the Fox spam list ideas, there is no fucking way in hell those dragons are staying at 285 for 2. They are 100% 100 points undercosted.
I got so Jeremy has had to deal with me get upset by that, and I got upset again by that. But I wasn't around people, so I'm going to tell you guys about it. You sometimes forget when you play multiple armies the point cost of things, and then when you're going to go back to them, you find out, this is such and such. We were talking about OBR today, and I was building some OBR lists. A few things. One was really funny because before
what were you using to build the list?
I went back to War Scroll Builder. I had to use War Scroll Builder. Had to use War Scroll Builder. Yeah. Even with the app cleaner, it still looks way too bulky. The app cleaner tool. But yeah, so we were building OBR lists, and it was really funny. At one point, I built the same list that Jeremy had posted, and then I couldn't post it because I was like, if I just post this, shit, damn it. I was like, is that 165 points too? I scroll up, I see Jeremy's at 165. I'm like, fuck. I was like, I'm just gonna not post this one. But I was looking at the Harvester, and I was like, the Harvester isn't great, but he's okay. Like, has some legs, and he's like fucking like 30 points more than 2 dragons. And I'm like, awesome. Like, this is cool. But he's 2 more wounds, or he's 1 more wound than one of the dragons, and like half as effective. That's cool. That's nice. That's fun. That's great. I had gotten upset earlier when I had realized that one Vengorian Lord, which of course, you've seen the damage output, Tony, of one Vengorian Lord, is the price. It's 5 points less than 2 of them, 2 dragons. So I'm like, awesome.
Jeremy, I know you say they're like 100 points under costed, but knowing GW, they will never make them too expensive that you can't take 6 dragons, a Knight Draconis, and one of the big dragons in your list. Like that, to me, they will make sure will always be a legal list.
Now,
They'll make Fulminators cheaper. I'll keep them.
GW is willing to break those perfect combos once they age a bit. When they've sold enough dragons, they will no longer protect those point
So
levels.
we're saying next year when the new Stormcast book comes out.
Yeah.
No. See, the Stormcast book will come out in 3 years because they're coming out with a new edition every 3 years, and Stormcast is the first book every single time.
Yep. And
Is it the first book every single time?
Liberators, Sequitors, Vindicators, Crusaders, whatever. What? 5th version of Liberators, get them right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll get another guy with a shield and some. They'll have axes.
Shield and flail.
Oh, they haven't done flails. You're right.
Yeah,
haven't had flails. We'll have a whole flail chamber.
Well, it'll be the Bretonian chapter that people are.
There is actually like in the new Warband, there's a specific model that has iconography that has never been used in Stormcast, which is
it's the boar one, like you talked about last round, right?
Yeah, so like that's probably the next chamber, or the next whatever. But I wanted to mention like Games Workshop answer to that me complaining about like dragons or it's kind of supporting Garrett's like point is that like, well, we wanted to make it thematic for Kraknos, and I'm like, have you seen your Kraknos War Scroll? He's never getting to charge a single one of those.
Jeremy, what you're forgetting is Games Workshop just doesn't have enough data.
Yeah, they don't have enough data. They don't have enough data to balance this. They even are running their own tournaments, not enough data.
How do you write god models that do not have a ward save or an inbuilt healing mechanic? I do not fucking understand.
You run a Lariel and cry.
Lariel does okay.
It's hard to nuke a Lariel in one go, and that's just like nothing but mortal wounds. And then if it's not a double turn, she'll basically heal back up to almost.
I mean, you say that until you run 4 dragons and you just nuke her.
Well, that's the problem, right? Like right now, like any kind of god model that doesn't have a fucking decent ward save is like you might as well just not bother bringing.
Yeah, exactly.
So like it's like the amount of mortal wounds the Stormcast book brings, and I want to see if Anthony echoes that sentiment. Have you played against any of this new Stormcast yet, Anthony?
I have, yeah. Yeah.
The amount of mortal wounds generation they do in every fucking action is like, it's kind of obscene to me. Like, they're like, I do mortal wounds when I die. I do mortal wounds when I swing. I do mortal wounds when I shoot. I do mortal wounds just by being in the hero phase. It's like every fucking time, it's like whatever. And it's sneaky. It's like super sneaky, like huge amount of mortal wound gen. As Alex experienced yesterday when we cheated him, when we played a game with Paladin, we misunderstood Vendus Hammerhand's rule is to be all hammers of Sigmar. We didn't realize it was only Redeemer. So we gave like a 10-man retribute unit like +2 attacks, and they trigger off like the Soul Maces got changed to like not having an attack profile, so they trigger for every attack they have. And it was kind of like 4 Star Soul Maces into like, all right, well, +3 to attack. They're doing an average of 20 mortal wounds. Like enjoy that.
But they didn't. They rolled bad. So the Star Soul Maces did 16 mortal wounds to a 14 wound zombie dragon instead of a paltry 20. And then
Jeremy, it's funny because you say how Star Soul Maces now don't have to roll to hit anymore. I'm like,
no.
Didn't they used to not have to roll the hit? Like,
I said they don't. They used to not have an attack profile. They used to, no matter how many times you give him an attack bonus, it's only 1 trigger. That's the change from last Star Soul Maces to now.
And then if you go,
it's right.
A book before that, they had attack profile and auto hit. Like, we're just back to square one again.
Wait, let me. Yeah.
No, it's just what I'm trying to say is that like if you're playing against Stormcast, be ready for. Wow, I didn't expect that to generate mortal wounds. Like even Liberators do like in Stormkeep do 2 instances of mortal wounds. Like it's like what? It's a very good book. I think actually like this time around that book actually might stay like performance heavy. unless they fix the dragons, and then people have to actually make decisions about their like, oh, what do I need to put for 500 points? Like,
Hey, bro, I'm
makes
with you though. Hollow Knights, man. I just picked up Gardas the other day to play around with.
Oh, man.
So.
Damn, you're right.
So good.
You're right. They used to not have the attacks section. It's just one big bracket that said see below.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. They,
Well,
lots of things. Anyway, the
Well, mhm.
no, I was just saying, we're gonna see a lot of Cruel Boys. We're gonna see a lot of Stormcast for a little bit. We'll see what shakes up to be the best. But what I'm just really excited about the fact like you can bring like a lot of different Stormcast lists, and they're probably going to be decent. I don't think anybody's going to figure out the formula for that for a while. But for Cruel Boys, I think that's going to take a lot longer. I think Cruel Boys is going to take a lot, and also it definitely feels like they're still missing like a bunch of models.
Wait, you
in that
don't
army.
think Bone Splitter is gonna be top of the meta out of that new book?
Well, if they actually found a way to give Bone Splitters mortal wound generation, and they're like instead of just giving it the entirety of Cruel Boys, sure, maybe.
Please
what do
let
you
them
do
generate mortal wounds against monsters or something.
Yeah, like what do you do as a Bone Splitters when you fight like I don't know, fucking like Archeon or like
Dude, you don't do anything anymore. Like
Big stabbers, just
one.
only big stabbers, nothing else. Just an
Not
entire
even that
army big
good.
No,
stabbers.
dude, they don't. They're not monster killers anymore.
Yeah,
They
they're
do-
not even that good.
The monster hunting army
It's-
lost its monster hunting rules in the
It's-
monster
it's
hunting
Wait,
meta.
what? That's their whole theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're terrible at killing monsters. Not like Cruel Boys do it just like drastically better. It's like not even
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, that's terrible. This should
And-
be their time to shine. Literally should be
Yep.
their time in the meta and the story.
Dude, I was excited. I was ready to bring them out for next season, and we're like looking at trying to figure out how to make them work. And there's just like, I don't know what the army does anymore. Like, there's no like tricks or this to it. It's just
It
like
just stands an
on a
objective and
board.
just like hopes. Yeah, exactly.
A
That's
bunch-
what
a bunch of wizards and multiple rogue idols.
eh.
I don't even know if that works because a lot of the Bone Splitter mechanics are like orc keyword required, I think, and like the rogue idols does not have the orc keyword.
The rogue idol. I know the rogue idol doesn't have a certain keyword, but is it literally doesn't have orc
Oh.
keyword?
It doesn't have the aura keyword. It just has the legion. But the nice thing in Bone Splitter was I'm rereading it. You get +2 to your ward saves. So the rogue idol would have a 3-up ward save for like one phase. That's
One
nice.
combat. Yeah. If you don't die.
Yeah,
before
I'm
that.
genuinely curious about that. So going into this, then, I mean, that means that you have an army that's not an order army. I know you said that not all your armies were order. You just don't have a death army. What other armies besides Lumineth and Cities do you have right now?
Bone Splitters and Beasts of Chaos. Those are my two other big armies.
Wow, so you are playing underdog when you're not playing order.
So that's the funny thing is like it's recent that I've come to like my buddies are joking. They're like, you're finally playing army at the level you should play at. Like I was
Don't worry, Alex. It's gonna come for you too.
So I don't know if you guys were you guys at a LVO the last one we had before
Yes.
it shut down?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
remember who got 10th. It was Bone Splitters, and we were going around. A bunch of people were pissed off. That was me. I was the 10th place Bone Splitter player. And people
Good
were like
job.
freaking out on the forums about it. So I've always liked the underdog armies. I guess I wouldn't call it underdog armies. I play what I like. Like
There's a name for that. There's a name for that in old Magic the Gathering competitive play. Go on. I'll find it.
While you're looking up, Anthony, did you play Direct-Foot?
no, I was Icebone, bro.
Your eyes, but okay.
Icebone
So,
and boar. Icebone. It was called Pig's Krieg. I would fly boars across the table at you.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I remember that list.
Yep.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's probably the best strategy they got right now. Most
Dude,
players,
OBR hated me. They would not leave their deployment zone. Like that's how I
Yeah.
beat all those players that year. They were coming in like expecting to be in like top brackets, and no, you guys are gonna stay in your deployment. I'm gonna score points.
I feel so bad because I think one of my friends played Dragfoot. Roger Barker, I think, played Dragfoot that year, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna counter the meadow because there's so many war saves. And then I don't think he played a single like war save army.
I believe it.
What the?
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, new one, I'm debating between Icebone and Dragfoot. I kind of like the idea of sticking Icebone just because then they have 6, they get like something to do on a 6 ward. They got a 6 to hit and a 6 to wound. It's kind of fun, but I don't know. It's a bunch of flailing. But yeah, back then there was a lot of cool stuff. It's weird that they got rid of their big spell. That's honestly what killed it for it. Losing Breath of Gorka Morka is just like, why?
Don't worry, you have laser eyes now.
Yeah. Well, we had, oh dude, I had that. I've killed plenty of big monsters with that. You just like, especially when because we had the realm rules. So you always had like the one where you get to teleport. Well, teleport that Wargog behind enemy lines. Hey, Mana Core, you're dead.
Yeah, zap. Yeah.
So the archetype I'm looking for is Johnny. So Johnny, Magic player, likes to make sure that the list works exactly, their deck works exactly how they want it to, and try to play underdog armies and go like, hey, what if I have a deck of all lands? Like, I can make this work. You know,
that's what I do, man. I pick my units, people. You know, like you guys saw it, the Dawn Riders. Like people are like, yeah, they're okay. They do something. I'm like, no, I'm gonna tune them up and get them to do what I want them to do.
They did something to me, that's for sure. I remember when we started playing there at the Old Town Throwdown. You're like, oh, I've got the don't worry, I've got the nice Lumineth. This is not the beat your face Lumineth. That's pretty much how you introduced it.
Absolute horseshit. Why did you lie to us?
Bro, I don't know.
I mean, I myself, I don't know. It was the first time I had ever played Lumineth, and Anthony was super cool about it. You know, I was up front. Hey, Anthony, I've played exactly one game of 3rd edition before this, and you know, I've never played Lumineth, and so he was both forgiving of my shall we say inexperience with the current rules. Was super patient in explaining all his rules. Obviously stomped my face in the dirt along the way. He wasn't so much of a gentleman as to let me win. It wasn't a teaching game per se. But nonetheless, I had a real positive experience. The proof of which is that we have you on the show right now. In fact, you know, by the end of the game, I had said, hey, you know, I had a good time. Would you want to be on the show? Little did I know when I asked you if you were willing to be on the show, that lo and behold, you would end up playing a bunch of my teammates throughout the rest of the tournament. So no small irony there. I think I actually invited you to be on the show because you had handed me a card about the Wasteland Weekend, right?
Yep. And then from there went into the gauntlet, man.
So first, tell me a little bit about the list that you brought to Wasteland Weekend. Of course, I myself just brought a simple Nurgle list, a humble Nurgle list that you just used and abused however you saw fit on the table. So tell me what did you take against me that day?
Yeah, I mean, my list, it's kind of a little dabbling of like everything. Obviously the centerpiece is the big old 10 block of Dawn Riders. You know, 2 units of Wind Chargers just to be in the front. You got a unit of Wardens, 1 unit of Sentinels. I don't like no Sentinel spam, you know. We had the Cathalar, kind of standard in Lumineth. Couple of different heroes, and the big surprise for me was my the twins, man. Like
the twins, yes. I had a twinge when you just said the twins right now. I felt an actual pain in my shoulder, I think, from the trauma I had of
Frodo over there. You got the
trying to throw the dice to take them down, and no matter how many dice I threw at them, they kept coming back. So yeah, that was pretty spectacular. For our listeners that aren't familiar, tell us why the twins are so fierce.
So the twins are Elithor and Eliana. Basically, they are they're only an 8 wound character, which is kind of deceptive. They're like 300 points, so they're expensive for what they do. 3-up save. But as the game goes on, Elithor's sword gains more power, so his damage is equal to the battle round. So turns 1 and 2, he does okay damage. But when you hit like turn 3 or 4, he's like smashing through things.
Yep.
But what's really crazy about them is at the end of the combat phase, you roll a dice equal, and if it's equal to or less than the battle round or the number of wounds that the twins have on them, they heal D6 wounds and then they teleport anywhere on the map 12 inches away from enemy models. So basically, like if you don't really focus fire and take them down, next turn they're probably getting back up. They're going to be somewhere else on the battlefield where they comfortably want to be. And if I'm going next, it's amazing because then I can move forward 6 inches and have a little 6-inch charge to hit what I want, or I can get them out of danger somewhere safe, where it's a little more difficult for my opponent to target them. So they're just super versatile piece that can kind of move around the board. Plus, she's a double caster, +1, so it's real nice.
Plus, you had a good looking model. Your whole army
Thank you.
looked real nice. I forgot. Did you paint all that yourself?
I did, yeah. And the
Oh,
twins
nice.
was a little custom job with the little cherry blossom and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, funny thing with them is honestly, like going up to the tournament, I was debating pulling them out. I was like, I don't know. We'll try something else. So here's the thing. I never actually got to really fully use them in a game. So up before the tournament, I hadn't really played any proper 2K with the full list because we had our animosity event. So we were playing a bunch of like narrative play, or if I did play a 2K game, like we weren't having like the longest of games. So I didn't actually get to those like further battle rounds. It was kind of like, okay, we're going to handshake at 2 or 3 so we can start on a match. Cause we're just going to the game shop for an hour or two. It's not like a tournament play. But then seeing them in the tournament setting, it's just like, oh no, you guys are staying in this list. You're kind of like a staple alongside the Dawn Riders. So
Yeah.
Nice. So after you crushed my feeble dreams of winning something at that tournament, you went on to play another one of my teammates in the second round. Is that correct?
I did. I played Mr. Alex here.
Oh yes,
Yep.
That's right. How did that go?
You want to talk about the game, Alex?
Yeah, sure. Well, we came to the table and I said, fuck, I got to play Lumineth. And then I got to the table and I was like, I don't see 50 Sentinels. Okay, maybe I got a shot. And I played against several games against, Jeremy and others with Dawn Riders, and they're great objective scoring units. That's pretty much the only role that I'd ever seen them be used as, not really in an offensive role. They would charge if they had to, but 5-man units. And I mean, that's right. Like a 5-man unit Dawn Riders isn't that going to be all that much, in a lot of instances. And at the time, when I fought against Dawn Riders before, I was either playing an army which had an unrendable save, like Night Hunt, or I was playing OBR. So again, not really that much of a big deal for me. But oh boy, I did what I had to do. I had a very good turn 1. I actually had a very, very good turn 1. And then I was like, cool, I need the double. And I didn't get the double. And I was still in the game after turn 2. And then like after turn 3, I was like, well, if I do Hail Marys, I might win. And then after turn 4, I'm like, okay, rounds coming up. I'm going to try my best to make scores. I actually made a mistake. It was an incredibly close game. I don't know, hot takes, or I guess quick recaps, spotlight moments, brought the twins down to a wound, only for them to heal 6 more wounds, which was great. Turn 1, I was able to charge the 20 Sentinels with one of the Vingorian Lords. He did not die in combat. He did not die for another combat round, I believe, or another shooting phase. Sometime in your turn, in turn 2, he died. But I was able to also smash the Shrine Luminor at the exact same time. I just kind of whiffed with my attacks, but that was helpful because Shrine Luminor would have been very annoying if it didn't go away. But then my big thing was I had forgotten to remove an objective. I don't know. You know what? I think I took turn on turn 3 rather than giving you top turn, and you didn't remove any objectives. And I don't think you needed to. I don't think you forgot. I think because I didn't ask you. I just was like, what do you want to do? But
that was like the last 10 minutes of the game. So I think it was just, we were just trying to get that last figure out.
Yeah.
So,
but I realized afterwards, I was like, if I removed that, I think I might have tied.
the lore seeker objective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the lore seeker objective. Because that was the one where I was like, cool, I'm not getting that. And I was like, if I get the other 2, which of course I didn't think about that.
So
but
highlights on my side, or his great he puts his Graveguard in the grave, you know, expecting deep
Mhm.
shake. And against most players. So that's the one thing where I would say I have a strong suit just because, you know, I come from Beast to Chaos. So I know very
Yeah.
well 9 inches and, you know, deep strike. So I know the people that screw over my gameplay. So I know how to block it out just right. So I zoned
Yeah.
just right where you couldn't get anybody in my back line and you didn't want to like leave him in grave long enough. So he brings the Graveguard out, gets smashed in by the Dawn Rider. He's like, it's okay. They're going to survive. And they ended up wiping those guys.
Yep. Yep.
So-
Well, I didn't realize, like you had told me straight up. You were like, "Oh, you know, they get an extra attack. Is it an extra attack or an extra damage? Extra damage.
Extra 2 attacks against 1 wound models. No,
Extra 2 attacks against one model. You said it. It went in one ear and
Yep.
right out the other. And then
Wait,
when
wait,
you
no, no,
attack,
tell me from your perspective though, Anthony. Your twins are down at 1 hit point. Because we've heard this tale from Alex's side maybe a couple times. So tell me what really happened there.
yeah, you know, they're down to 1 wound and you're just like they're such an exciting unit because your heart's always racing. You know, they're not quite Gotrek. Like Gotrek's dumb, but you know, if you roll bad on Gotrek, he's gonna die, and you're just like, cool, that's a quarter of my army gone. You know, it's a big chunk of this army, so you're rolling dice and you get those 1s or 2s on them, and you're just like, oh, because I run them with the Ethereal Blessing spell, so basically they're unrendable. So they always got the 3 up. I don't know if that's better than, you know, maybe if you're throwing Mystic Shield and all out defense, it stacks up enough to be better. But I just feel a safe Ethereal Blessing. Then I don't have to worry about them. I can focus on my other stuff. So when you get down to that point where they have like 1 wound left and you realize all the attacks are done and you're just like, I'm safe. We're going to get to the end of combat. On a 6-sided dice, you can't roll less than a 7. I mean, you can't roll more than a 7. So you're like, you're going to teleport and then you're going to heal up a little bit and we'll come back to that later on. So it was a blessing when that one last wound didn't go through on them. So
Nice, very nice. And then you roll
So
a
good.
6 on the heel anyways,
yep.
right?
And then a 6 on the heel. And I think I did that a couple of times in the tournament. I think it might have happened in Jeremy's game as well. I think he shot him a couple times for them to heal up, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I think it did it as well. Yeah.
So,
That's
but yeah,
about
the other big thing with the list is the I play Helon, which the first thing people are like, well, how come you don't have foxes in the list and stuff? I'm like, no, it's not what the foxes this list. It's all about those Dawn Riders. So you really get to feel like you're cycle charging. Like it's like you get to pretend to be fake Blood Knights, you know, because Blood Knights just get to crash, move, and that's what these guys get to do is they'll crash in, fight in combat, and then you can pull them out. So
Not if you're playing against Jeremy and I, because we will crash and then the Blood Knights just die.
okay, that too.
They
So-
don't cycle charge. They just die.
So when you have speed of light on these Dawn Riders and they go from 14 inches to 28 inches, you crash in 28 inches away plus a charge, and then they're 28 inches away. So being able to get them again is real hard to do. And even if you killed a couple in the combat phase, rally, bring some of them back. So you got this pretty sturdy, you know, 20 wound unit that just like can kind of keep moving around the battlefield. I love
Yeah.
mobility.
And
Have
remember,
you,
I tried my no pile-in shenanigans on them. That made no difference.
Didn't matter.
Have you tried giving them levitate in 3.0 to give them fly? So they have a 28-inch move and fly. You could just scream over screens and just be like, fuck you.
I'll have to try that. I'm still fiddling with what spell I want on the Lord Regent anyway. So I might have to give him levitate so then I can do that and fly, because then they play like my pigs and my old bone splitters.
It does go
Oh.
off on an 8 though, so you have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's a little rough,
Oh.
but with the reroll from the shrine, you got your crystal maybe. Something to play with, think about.
Yeah.
So now, correct me if I'm wrong. So you of course had a great game with me from the get. We pretty much knew you were going to win, and I was going to learn some stuff. And then you had a nice tight game against Alex, right?
Mhm.
And
Pretty good.
was it round 3 that you then faced Le Bogemon?
Yep. Round 3, I
Okay,
played Mr.
okay.
Jeremy.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like so many people in the competitive tournament scene, Alex and myself included, you might be having an amazing day which is why you even end up playing the likes of Jeremy to begin with. But then you find yourself against the table from
stroke his ego. Why don't you? Fuck.
Le Bogeyman. And tell me about this. How did it? Did you of course knew who Jeremy was? Probably knew he won the ITC last time it mattered.
Yeah,
Did this make you a little nervous, or were you like, this guy's old man, I've got him?
So the name didn't necessarily click right away when I got to the table. It was just more, we know where you guys are in the rankings, and we're the second place team ranking. So it's just like, oh my God, I'm literally playing everybody who is like on the team that we're like neck and neck with right now, so that coming to the table. And then it was the Vice, which is really long range objectives. And then it's KO. So he's just going to be all over the board, and I'm just going to have to slog across this board and try and deal with it. So I was, already tired, it's a long day. Your third game's always exhausting as it is. And then knowing that it's crazy how much changes on that third game, man, like going into the end of the day into your next, because it's such an important moment if you're trying to like push into those top 10s and stuff. So
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. I have to say, like, one of the things I think I mentioned before on a show, and I loved Anthony's list so much in our game, and I played that I was like, that's probably the closest you get to a Lumineth list that isn't the fucking Fox and Sentinel spam list and still be competitive. And literally ripped off. I even ripped off your twin idea in the list for my Sylvaneth list that I took to a GT right after. And yeah, the twins performed like fantastic like the entire week. And I think they're surprisingly techie. They're very very techie pick in almost any list now. You can since any order list effectively. They're like what's the word I would look to describe it? It's like they're not the cheap man's like Go Track. They're like more like, it's like, hey, you want a hero that does pretty much everything? There you go.
They're Swiss Army knife.
You got him.
Yeah, Swiss Army knife is a good way to put him.
Yeah. And the fact that they can be in any order army is extra cool, because it helps those armies that don't have X, Y, or Z. They give you that. So
yeah.
They're so good. Yeah, you can use them as like an IBCM if you need to. You can use them as like I don't know, a harassing unit or whatever. There's a ton of utility with them.
Yeah.
So how did your actual game go, Jeremy? Now first off, we've heard a little bit Anthony coming in. Now Jeremy, how was it from your perspective? You of course went into this game knowing that Anthony had just defeated two of your teammates. No surprise against myself, but certainly he just beat Alex. So you're playing against a good player. And also you got a little bit of, okay, this guy's just taking down two of my teammates. So did you go into this game super hardcore mode, or was it the typical Jeremy we expect?
It was more of I can't believe I made it this far with KO, because once again, like it's like kind of like, I think I described this like I showed up because I want to use this army that I'm commission painted, and I was just like, okay, I guess this is working out. And then when I played and when I see Anthony at his list, I was like, okay, so it's not the all shooty Lumineth list, which means I actually have to try this game, because if it was like the Fox list or the all Sentinel spam on the Vice, I was like, cool, I don't really have to worry too much about like Sentinels ever getting in range, and unless they teleport, but that's like only one unit, and so it's not too bad. But his list, I was looking at it like, I was like, well, I can't really kill the Dawn Riders. Like they're not like target priority number one. And the Dawn Riders, if they get in range of any of my boats, will destroy whatever is inside the boats, which then makes it like even harder to recruit. Like you're never swinging the Dawn Riders at the boats. Like it's just not gonna happen because they suck at killing anything with like multi wounds. But the guys inside, definitely easy targets. And I was just like, oh man, like if this game goes like in a way where it's like he's able to kill everything in the boat and I can't finish off the rest of the MSU fast army that he has, I'm like, he could still like easily win the Vice. And for the most part, like the game primary wise was very close. I had a very good like first half of the game because I killed the Sentinels, the Cathalar, I think 1 unit of Wind Chargers,
And yeah, so I was
and
playing with one
Warden.
hand tied at the start of that
Yeah.
game.
And then somehow for the rest of the game, like you were just like, all right, God mode engage. We're not going to lose another unit for the rest of the game, pretty much. And that's what happened, really. Like that's literally what happened. I think he lost the Warden and the Lord's Regent. I'm sorry, not the Warden, the Lord Regent. And I think that was it, right? Because I killed the twins.
Nope, twins were alive at the end. I think you had just got the Dawn Riders at the very end of the game.
Yeah, I was like
the last turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was definitely a strange game on my part. It felt like playing my Beast of Chaos again, where I don't kill anything. I'm just gonna I need to focus on what's going on the board because I had lost half of my army at the start of the game. So I'm like, I'm not gonna win this in a straight up slugfest. Like I did what he talked about. You know, I had my five Dawn Riders smashed into one of the boats, cleaned out the dudes inside the boats. Yeah. I think he had 1 unit of Arco left in the Ironclad because I wasn't getting to the Ironclad, but the other boats, the twins dropped a gun hauler on their own, which was fun.
Ooh, nice. What turn did that happen?
Jesus Christ.
I think it was turn 3.
Okay, so they were cranking out the damage by then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, but I mean, other than that, like at the end of the game, he had a frigate, he had an Ironclad, and the 10 Arco, and I think the other frigate was almost dead. I had almost gotten it with the twins. But other than that, it was just like turn 2, my Dawn Riders, my big block, I was like speed of light, and they went across the board to his objective. Twins teleported to another objective, and it was just kind of like keeping him at bay as much as I could in multiple objectives. So he had to split his fire and choose his targets, because if I just stood in one place, all his stuff does there just lines up and did what he did to my Sentinels turn 1. So
yeah, I have to say my favorite part of that game was just like, since you were refusing to die by normal, like you have no ward save except for the twins. And I was like, since you're refusing to die, I was like, all right, it's time to charge the boats and to do mortal wounds. And it's like I could not make a charge until the last.
First turn you did. That's how you wiped that whole half.
Yeah.
After that, you weren't landing those charges. So I don't know. Honestly, it was probably a good thing you didn't land those charges, because some of those units might have done a little more work. So
yeah, no, I 100%.
It was a brutal game, man. We were really playing it like battle tact. That was the other thing that was hard for me, was like battle tactics was killing me. Just like normally you have a bunch of options, but Vice kills you, man.
I was also really doing poorly on battle tactics. I was a little too I would say preoccupied on my mind of the previous game I played, that I was just like, I think I even told you at the game, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just like not picking that battle tactic. I'm just so like thinking about the last
you
game.
were a little spicy from the last one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That shall not be mentioned.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really enjoyed like that Lumineth list, because I spent like all of 2019 trying to play Lumineth and try to come up with a list I liked that wasn't like Sentinel spam. And I put it first time, I'm like, oh, that's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, man. Dawn Riders were my unit, and I was like, we're gonna build around this. And when the new stuff came out, Wind Chargers and all that, and saw that they could be battle line, because that was the original intentions. I wanted it to be mostly a cavalry force, with a little infantry contingent. So
old school, the high elf. Yeah, old school high elf.
Yeah. So then after Le Bogeyman crushed your dreams brutally.
1920 is not a crush.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say it was a very close game.
Okay, yeah, that actually sounds pretty damn close to me. Okay, so actually after Jeremy, he's not even Le Bogeyman at 19-20. After Jeremy barely wins, but nonetheless, at this point you are 2-1, and then going into day 2 of the tournament, you faced Garrett Mulroney. So what was that game like?
No, I flew.
No, so what happened on your day 2?
Miles all the way out to Old Town Throwdown just to play Anthony round 4.
Yeah.
No, so how did your day 2 go?
It was good. I played Matt, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You did play our teammate Matt in round 4. The other Nurgle, the Nurgle player on the team that knows how to play. So,
Yes.
so
Yeah,
how
it was
did
a
that
very-
game go?
It was a very different game than yours and mine.
I
I will
imagine.
say that much. I had never fought Be'lakor before. I know the bogeyman story of Be'lakor or whatever. So I was like, he's gonna be a problem. I don't know what he does though. So we went over armies in the beginning. You know, he's like, hey, here's what Be'lakor does, and I'm like, okay, here's what my guys do. You know, and he had choice of turn, and classic Nurgle thing. He took top of one, bunkered up on the points, and he thought his blocks of 30 plague bearers were safe.
No, absolutely not.
No.
It's fun to pretend.
Why didn't you teach him, John? Why didn't you tell him that 30 plague bearers are not safe?
You know, I'm sure I told him, you know, the lack of models I had at the end of Anthony and I's game.
So basically, our game was kind of like the twins and my little infantry holding off Be'lakor, a great unclean one with some wind chargers and stuff, and a little slappy fight to defend the lore seeker on one side. And then the other side was just 30 plague bearers getting smashed from both sides by 2 units of Dawn Riders and the Lord Regent, so they're stuck in place and just like wreaking havoc, and then cycle backing into a formation so they're ready for the next turn. So yeah, at the end of that first turn, we had wiped one of the 30 blocks of plague bear, and he just I think he realized at that point, he's like, oh no,
Yeah.
I have to play a very different game now. So that kind of switched up the strategy, but you know, in the end, it just there was no real way for him to come back against the mobility I have, and keep like when you're great unclean one who already doesn't do much damage or whatever is just kind of stuck in place with the twins, and they're just kind of like doing that. So it became a win for me. So
Nice, very nice. So at this point, you're 3-1, which is, you know, at this point, anybody, unless you're now, you know, if you're knocked out of the wins, you know, if you're knocked out of the running for the win of the tournament, you're pretty happy at 3-1, right? So going into the last round, hoping for that 4-1. How did your last round go, and who was it against?
So as if my game, so as if my game couldn't end on a just like keep climbing the ladder of the gauntlet. My final match was against Doug Jankowski, who at last year's Wasteland Weekend, I played in the finals.
Oh, okay.
And I had the game in the bag, and I had made the comment of like, hey man, like this game, cool. Like it's a tough game, man. Like he's like, yeah. And I'm like, the only way you're gonna win this is if you land like 2 of these 3 like 10+ charges that you have lined up. And he's like, I know this is probably over, but let's roll it out. I'm like, all right, let's roll it. And this is why you always roll out the games, right?
Always roll the dice.
Rolls the dice, 11 charge, 10 charge, and 12 charge. All 3 of them made him in onto the points, and he ended up beating me in the finals at Wasteland. So this was a great grudge match to come into.
Nice.
And then on top of that, he was also playing Lumineth. He was playing Techless with Sentinels and all that fun. So it was really a Tyrion. We called it the Tyrion versus Techless rivalry because my guys are more Tyrion based, and we duked it out. Had a real tight game back and forth. It ended up coming, and like, you know, they always say it's a game of inches. It was literally a freaking game of inches. His final turn, he picks to have 2 units holding my territory as his battle tactic, and his Sentinels move forward to get into my territory with their 6-inch run.
Yeah.
And we end the round, and we're like, okay, let's measure this out. Let's see if you made it. And he measured it out to see if the unit's holding in the territory. The very last Sentinel, half of the body was in the territory, the other half was in his territory. So he did not get his battle tactic.
Oh no. That hurts. That hurts.
Why you check that stuff in the moving phase, not the end of the turn.
So it wouldn't have mattered either way. He did a 6+6 run. So either way, he wouldn't have made it in.
Yeah, he made his max move.
Yeah.
So in the end, what was your final placing?
I ended up placing 6th, I believe.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah, but I think we between third and 8th, maybe 9th, we were all
Yeah.
pretty close. I think we were all kind of like 4-1s. Like it really came down to like those battle tactic scores and stuff.
It did. It did.
So-
I was telling them because I was ninth place. That
Okay.
like in my first game, if I didn't know we could talk it out, and I was like, if I knew I could talk it out, I could have had way more points. Because yeah, you're right. That entire zone had like
It was a difference
only-
of like 12 to like 14 points between like
yeah, it
probably
was like
you
nothing.
and third. It was insane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
I
tight.
know. It was
It's pretty tight.
wild.
And considering the extra layers of scoring that happened, that's pretty amazing. Now, I noticed not to turn too hard into it, but I was actually looking for the packet for this Wasteland Weekend narrative event. I was going to see if you had some crazy scoring going on with it as well, and I didn't see it quite yet. So why don't you take us into this event that you're getting ready to run, and give us the intro. So for our listeners, of course, Anthony is going to be running the narrative events at the Wasteland Weekend Games, and that's a full-on con at this point, right? Tell me what's going on. I've never been. Make me excited.
So basically, out here in Vegas, we're trying to get a couple more bigger events. Like LVO is super cool, super big, and we just want people to have more options through the year to come out and visit us. You know, it's Vegas. Like it's such a big hub for like everything already. Like we need more big events out here. So we're doing I think this is the second Wasteland Weekend we've had. Yeah. Last one was so second Wasteland Weekend we've had. And basically this year we're starting off a little quieter just because, you know, COVID definitely slowed things down a little bit. So our first year we had like bolt action and a bunch of different like games to go alongside it. This year we're starting off with just kind of 40K and AoS. So we have two championship events. With I think they're doing cash prizes for them, which is kind of fun.
I saw 1,000 for 40K and 500 for AoS.
Yeah. So those will be on Saturday and Sunday. So the whole weekend is the 5th through the 7th of November. And the on Friday is the more fun events. So we have like doubles and some 40K things. And the one I'm running is the narrative event on Friday, which is going to be super cool. Like we've got like a map we're going to set up with like little general pieces and stuff. We'll go into it in a little bit, but let's kind of, so basically 5th through the 7th, we're coming in and we've got a couple different events going on. Gareth Tom, who TO'd for Old Town, is actually TOing the AoS championship.
Okay,
So-
and I think he actually mentioned when he was on that he was doing that, and he's going to use a very similar packet to the Old Town Throwdown.
Yeah. So as you heard, like how cool and like, I think we were all pretty happy with the pack overall for Old Town. So it'll be similar scoring to that, different objectives, different missions and stuff for that. So yeah, that'll be neat. And then I'm one of the Vegas, like I'm in Vegas. I'm known. I'm the NEO TO guy out here as well. So that's why I'm doing the narrative one.
And for those that don't know, that Neo is, if you're part of the Neo group, it's basically people that like-minded people that are into narrative Age of Sigmar. And
narrative event organizer, NEO.
Well,
basically
Thanks,
your
Garrett.
TO equivalent for the narrative side.
Yeah.
So we're a dungeon master on a lot larger scale.
Have you
Not bad.
guys coordinated with the guys out here for Nova Open and stuff? Have you communicated with them and stuff?
I don't think we have. No, we're in the Neon network. So we do talk to a couple of the guys that run that, Nuno and Alex. They do like all the interviews and stuff, but we haven't talked to the Nova guys now.
Yeah, I know that. So I was doing some stuff with Nova, and this next Nova 2022, they're going to run. They've run a great narrative campaign. I don't know if you've ever been out here for the Nova.
I want to. I hear about it every year. I just got to figure out a time to get out there, man.
The narrative campaign out here in Nova is so cool. Like they have a GM that like runs all the players through decisions, and like they had this giant castle battle. They had I think it was like a
No, wait, easy, Garrett, easy. Don't be describing an event that might be cooler than the one Anthony's running. So Anthony, tell me what's going on with your event though. What's going on with your narrative event?
It's nice.
Is there a castle? Is there a castle?
There's
Jesus
always
Christ.
catches. Like it's AOS, right? No,
Okay.
no, we got some cool locations in mind. We're doing custom maps for the event itself, as well as custom scenarios. So what's gonna be real neat for ours is basically start of the day. So all our players come in, sign up. There's 3 different factions that you'll be assigned between. And then you'll discuss in your player group, and you're actually going to assign a commander from your group of players. And each turn, like game round, campaign round of the event, there's different weather that's going through the realm that will affect certain map types and stuff. There's different locations that need to be assaulted or protected for your faction. And basically, alongside your commander, you're going to be assigned to these different locations and charged with like holding the line or taking it for your country and stuff. It's going to be super fun.
Ooh, that's actually almost adding like a team event aspect where now the commander can say, okay, well, here's an army that can be very static and can hold a position versus, oh, here's one that's going to be good for assaulting a position and breaking in there. Oh, how neat. That sounds fun.
Yeah. So taking into the account of that, on top of that, we have what's called our DM. What do we call it? The DM Hand of Mayhem, which is every D66 minutes, there is a magical event that is going to happen that will affect all players on the battlefield. So they could be something really good where like your guys get inspired and get something simple like a command point to, perhaps Lanesh is calling you. Your guy has to look into his reflection and he might not get to do what he wants to do. Or maybe a flock of phoenix might show up. I don't know.
Nice.
Wow. Well, that's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Are the Phoenix gonna take him to Mordor and like skip an entire like 12 hours of movies?
I don't think we have time to discuss that. Sure. Garrett and I can explain to you why that's very wrong, but
Oh boy.
we'll write you an essay later. But yeah, so basically that's the gist of it is players getting to immerse in that. So when you come for the event, you're going to come with 2 1,250 point lists. One for attack and one for defense. They can be the same list if you really want, or you can diversify them as much as you want. They just have to be the same faction. So if you're Stormcast, you have to have 2 Stormcast lists and stuff like that. And so that just helps. So you have a little bit of diversity. So you're not always like, hey, Alex, I need you to go defend every time, you get a choice, and that'll help. So if the weather's really bad where it's like, hey, there's like smoke billowing on the battlefield, shooting's not very good here, you might not want to bring that big shooty army to the battlefield where the smoke's billowing and making line of sight really difficult unless you're Sentinels.
Yeah. Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Fun.
So we're going to be able.
There's going to be 3 teams, but what's the actual player base size that you're shooting for this event?
Yeah, so we are 6 minimum, and I believe it is up to 24.
Okay,
24 is our max size for this year.
Okay, cool.
If we blow it out of the water this year, cool, we can increase it for next year, but we have enough maps to accommodate up to that many players.
Sure.
So because they're all custom for our locations. So what was that, Garrett?
I've no doubt that you'll be blown. I've seen narrative events sell out so quick all the time.
Oh, that's for sure.
If you don't sell out, that'll be the first time I haven't seen a narrative event sell out. I just narrative events in general between LVO, Nova, Adepticon, they always seem to just perform so well. I've always heard really good things about them. Yeah. If it wasn't such a competitive diehard, I'd probably play and love them.
Yeah, well, see, that's what's fun. Like narrative's great because you can have that little breather moment. You play in the tournament, you bring the hard stuff, and then you get to bring the fluffy stuff for narrative day. So
yeah, well, and narrative's good for learning. Like like someone in my position where played the game a lot in the past, but not playing it a lot lately. Having narrative is a good chance to interact, play, get to know the rules, but be under a less pressured situation.
100%. Like there's still scoring at stake, but it's more on a team basis versus a individual basis. So
cool. Well, where can people get tickets again?
Yeah, so there is the website wastelandweekends.com. You can go there and then just go to the event section, and it is the AoS Narrative Event on November 5th. So if you're not, some people are they can't do 3-day events and stuff. So if you're looking for a great 1-dayer, come down and join us on Friday. We're gonna have so much fun. We're all gonna be partying together. We're gonna be like shouting out stuff, cheering each other on, and just watching as the storyline unfolds each turn.
That's
it's gonna
awesome.
be amazing.
Damn. Well, I mean, I'm excited. I don't know if I can go, but I am excited to see how that turns out.
Yep.
Do any of you guys plan on going?
I
John, Jeremy?
unfortunately am not able to make it.
I bought a ticket as well, but I can't.
I've used up my my travel budget during the month
No
of
worries.
September
At least
for a while.
we're sharing with people more far and wide. So
Yeah.
But
But I tell you what, this is something I'll be looking for myself for next year. Actually, this is definitely the kind of event I want to go to. And it's funny, my wife and I have actually been looking for an excuse to go to Vegas for a second time during the year. It turns out with my Caesars rewards, I need at least 2 good trips to Vegas to maintain the status that I want. So this is my perfect opportunity to maintain all the perks that I enjoy. So
perfect.
Doing it for purely selfish reasons.
It's just gonna get better and better. Join us next year.
Perfect. Well, you'll definitely see John next year, I'm sure. But yeah, dude, thank you for coming on. Thank you for kicking a few of our butts. And yeah, dude, everyone check out Wasteland Games. He is going to be there. Tony's going to be there with his narrative crew in check. And, of course, they got all the other game systems too, or at least the ones that we play or play parallel to. And this is going to be another episode of In Your Phase. Do like and subscribe, smash that subscribe button. I hate saying that so much. Wherever you get your podcast. So, thank you again, Tony, for coming on. And everyone have a great night.
Thanks, Anthony. Night, folks.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.